What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Bulls Report. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, we're going to talk about Ace Bailey and if the Chicago Bulls could potentially move up in the 2025 NBA draft to draft the Rutgers forward. And the reason we're talking about this because we got a new report coming out where multiple sources say the Chicago Bulls are exploring a trade up in the NBA draft if Ace Bailey is passed at number 3 by the 76ers. Now, also, more news in the NBA. Ace Bailey actually denied his workout with the Philadelphia 76ers. And there's also been some weird stuff going on in the process. Apparently, he hasn't handled it too well, and this could cause him to slip in the NBA draft. So if he does move past pick number 3, maybe the Bulls front office is viewing this guy as a potential building block and a trade, or in terms of what a trade could look like for the Bulls moving up. Well, how about they call the Charlotte Hornets trying to move up to pick number 4 here, and we are going to unfortunately have to talk about trading Coby White yet again. So in this deal, the Hornets would be receiving Coby White, Jevon Carter, and a 2025 first-round pick, just pick number 12 from the Bulls. And then the Bulls would be getting Grant Williams, Wendell Moore, and obviously the number 4 overall pick. Now, I'm not saying I would be thrilled about this deal whatsoever because I don't know if giving up Coby White just to move up 8 spots in the draft is necessarily worth it. However, if the Bulls scouting department truly believes in Ace Bailey, you do this trade because I think Ace Bailey, he's got sky high potential. And we'll dive into my scouting report on him, a little bit more in depth here in a second. But if you truly believe Ace Bailey is that guy and he could be a cornerstone piece of this franchise, I see no reason why not to just attach a guy like Coby White and then you move up and then you have that foundational core of like a Josh Giddey, Io, Ace Bailey, and Modest Buzelis, and you just roll out with those guys. But again, that's a lot to trade up for just 8 spots. I'll ask you guys this here. Would you accept this trade? If the Charlotte Hornets are calling Grant Williams, Wendell Moore, pick number 4 for Coby White, Jevon Carter, and pick number 12, would you accept this deal? Give me an A for accept or give me a D for decline down below in the comments section. Now, Ace Bailey is a very polarizing prospect. Honestly, I don't know if we've had a prospect, in my opinion, that has as much boom potential as he does, but also as much bust potential. Like, you go find some people talk about this guy saying he could potentially be a superstar in the NBA, and then there's some people saying you wouldn't even touch him in the lottery. Now, the raw numbers for him last year, Rutgers, honestly do a very fair job of representing, who he is. He is a dynamic athlete, and I do like his aggression. A big reason I'm a fan of him averaging 7.2 rebounds per game. But he also shot 46% from the field, averaged just over 17.5 points per game. And, the one thing about Bailey is he's a freak athlete. Like, he loves to put pressure on the rim, but he doesn't do it as much as I would like. Now, he does settle for jump shots in certain spots. Like, I saw a couple of plays when I was watching this film. He's got a one-on-one in transition. And he just tries to get to a spot in the mid-range game and take a pull-up jumper from there, where I would have much rather have him, try to attack the rim, use your natural athletic ability, and put some pressure and put some pressure on the rim that way. But some players he does remind me of. You got a little Danny Granger, Michael Porter Jr., Jaden McDaniels, Rudy Gay. So he is really that prototypical, 3-and-D archetype where he will take a lot of threes, which he did this past season at Rutgers. But I will say the difference between Ace Bailey and these 4 guys, none of these guys really had an elite mid-range game. I think Ace Bailey does that. He can get to those bump fades at an extremely high level, and he really only needs an inch of separation, or no separation at all, frankly. He would just rise up and hit a jumper. But these are 4 guys if you're just trying to get a better picture of who he is. But I do want to get to you guys my scouting report here on Bailey. Now, number one thing that will jump out to you when you watch his film, he is an insane athlete, like really, really freaky. He plays above the rim. He is fantastic with his first step. Honestly, his first step is the thing I love most about his game, because if you're closing out on him and you have a late closeout and you got to respect his jumper, it's just a quick one dribble. And ideally, I would want him to get to the rim, but that kind of leads me to my second one. Like, the negative side of this is poor shot selection, because it's almost one of those things where you are so freaky as an athlete. You're so good when you do decide to get to the rim. I'm not sure why he doesn't do it more. Now, I don't know if maybe it was at Rutgers, that was something he was working on, and maybe he was like, hey, we're not really going to have any chance to go compete for a national title. I'm going to work on my game at Rutgers, which, Whether you like that or you don't like that, that's a different conversation. But maybe he was trying to work on his pull-up game a little bit more, but just too many times he'll have a guy closing out on him, and he'll just kind of get to a one-dribble pull-up, still a contested jumper, but the driving lane was right there, and I'm just sitting there scratching my head being like, dude, if that was me, a 6'7", 6'8" wing with that athletic ability, I'm going to be trying to dunk on everybody. And that's honestly something I wish I would see more of him, is him just trying to posterize opponents. But I will say the thing I do love about him, he has elite defensive potential. If you go turn on his tape, and no ceilings, they drop a great highlight tape breaking down like all of his best offensive plays and defensive plays, but specifically defensively, he is a chase down artist. Like, I'm not comparing him to like LeBron back in the day when, he was blocking everything in transition, but he does have a couple of clips where if you are taking what looks like an uncontested layup and then Bailey just comes out of nowhere and completely swats it. I think he's got already, that's not even like a potential thing. That's already something he's very good at. But also in terms of him being an on-ball defender, he's a freak athlete, like we've been saying, super, super long, and that kind of quick first step offensively also applies defensively. Like, a lot of times when he is in a position where, defense is rotating and he has a late closeout, guy tries to drive on him, he can almost stonewall him a little bit. Now, I will say with his frame, I would like to see him add some more weight on it, just for when guards try to turn that corner on him. He can kind of use that chest to cut him off, but that potential is there. I could see him being an all-NBA defender if, he's got the right mindset to do so, which some question marks there. But, the rim pressure and ability is also top tier for Ace Bailey. And again, that's why I'm so frustrated when I watch his play. I just, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, why aren't you doing this more? Like, some of these dunks he would have, like driving down the right wing, and he can get to the other side of the rim, and he's not laying that up. He is dunking that basketball, but also countless times he's driving right, and it's just a tomahawk dunk because you can't reach the levels up in the air that he can. Like, that's how crazy of an athlete he is. And also, before this whole college season started, people thought there was a debate, Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, who's going to be the number 2 pick? Now, obviously, Dylan Harper is separated, and I think Harper is a significantly better prospect than Ace Bailey. I think Harper has a chance to be a top 12 player in the world when it's all said and done. But I will say with Bailey, like, if he puts it all together and he has a better, shot diet, combining the mid-range game and the rim pressure and ability, he could be very special. And, I almost hate kind of putting this on here, but, I mean, it's just truly what I think. I think he's got a poor IQ when he's out there. And I don't know if he is more in the brand of a kind of like a G League Ignite AAU style of hoops where it's just like, hey, if you saw Ace Bailey playing at your local LA Fitness, you would think this guy is like, potentially the best player in the world. Like, he would probably look that good in that type of setting. Or like a Drew League run, for example, he would look fantastic. But when it comes down to like actually winning games in the NBA, making those little plays, I didn't necessarily see him do that too much at Rutgers, like those 50-50 balls, just making that extra pass. He is kind of a black hole with the basketball. Like, if you throw it to him and there's 7 seconds left on the shot clock, he is just going to try to get to his spot. And now, I love the confidence, personally, for him being a basketball player, that he has that. Like, I love that side of him, but I also wonder if coaching could help develop that, making that extra pass. Just those little things I definitely have question marks. But again, polarizing prospect. Like, there's a ton of pros, there's a ton of cons to his game, but in terms of the Bulls trading up for him, if you believe in him, you got to do it. Because also wings, I understand the last 4 teams in the NBA, they're all led by guards. I still think wings dominate the league. And if you could potentially build that young wing duo of Bailey and Modest Buzelis, and then you have that playmaking, tall point guard in Josh Giddey, I do like that combination. Then also, if you just slide in Io to that 2 spot with trading away Coby White, you have a defensive-minded point guard there. And let's just say your 5-man for next season is Giddey, Io, Ace Bailey, Modest, and you still just roll with Vooch for 1 more year, and then you get a more, defensive-minded, rim-protecting center at that 5 spot. I do like that, potential of a lineup if obviously all those guys, end up reaching that potential. But where do you stand? Should the Bulls trade up for Ace Bailey? Give me a T for trade. Give me a P for pass down below. Now, if you guys could also hit that subscribe button on your way out. We are going to be going live for the NBA draft next Wednesday. It's already just around the corner. So if you guys don't want to miss a thing around the draft and your Chicago Bulls, hit that subscribe button today. And we'll see y'all next time. As always, go Bulls.